Just wanted to probe a bit more about your reasons for opposing the bailout to begin with. You mentioned you had 4 criteria.
I did.
Having to do with, not giving a blank check to Wall Street, helping Main Street, and a couple other things, no golden parachutes. Which of those wasn't fulfilled by the ultimate deal? And did you support the principle of a bailout or not?
We are in a financial crisis, Vince. I support the principle of a rescue package or a bailout, depending on how you want to characterize it. My goal was to stay in Washington and get it right. I was quoting John Wooden, the great UCLA basketball coach. I had to explain who he was to some younger reporters, all due respect to Bridget, but when he said to his team, be quick but don't hurry. And yes, this is a looming, very serious situation, but I thought there were other elements that could be in the package. If you read the legislation, and I can go back and outline my principles, maybe I can do that in the context of answering you. There are a lot of mays and a lot of encourages, not a lot of shells and musts. And I felt particularly to keep faith with taxpayers, and in the sense of giving taxpayers an equity stake, as well as an opportunity to be beneficiaries of a return on that equity stake, that there had to be more concrete language, and that I thought there were other ways perhaps to pursue this. I'm more of a fan, after listening to lots of economists and undergoing I don't know whether it be Economy 201 or Economy 301, I think we all have working knowledge in economics, but that the place to inject liquidity is as much into the banks as it is into Paulson's hands to buy up all these very toxic securities, as well as to think about the approach that Buffett is using, which is to take preferred stock positions in GE and Goldman. He's done that over the last couple of weeks. Secondly, I thought we could provide.
So you wanted the government to do that?
Yes, if we're going to put that much money in the market, if you will, that seemed to me to be a smarter way. I also think this is where you and I might have a meeting of the minds, and as I want to do, I'll get you some additional material. From what I learned, if you inject that liquidity right into the banks, you have the potential to draw more private capital more quickly than if you go if you travel the road that Paulson seems to be wanting to travel, which is to use in some cases the same very instruments that got us in the trouble that we're in today: credit default swaps, CDOs, the collateralized debt obligations. I don't know if you've seen some of the spreadsheets on these things. I bet John's been looking at some of them. But you talk about complicated financial instruments. Secondly, I think one of the, if not unsung heroes, at least one of the agencies that's acted with dispatch and has been out front is the FDIC, and Sheila Bair is the commissioner. She's been talking about this problem. She's been calling alerts, and their work they did on IndyMac is exemplary. And she has been suggesting that a massive rewriting on a large scale of a lot of these mortgages would make some sense. And she has put forth some, I think, very concrete plans as to how you would do that. Now, there's a moral hazard there, of course. There are speculators, there are people that shouldn't be in mortgages. They should probably still be renters or have some other housing arrangement. But I just thought that was a better way to help people on the street who I represent and who I was hearing from.
Rewriting of mortgages, are you talking about having bankruptcy judges do that, or are you talking about the sort of plan that John McCain proposed?
Yeah, this is more what John McCain outlined last night, and I haven't had a chance to review the debate, and barely getting enough sleep as it is, but was there a proposal before the House at the time, that week, 2 weeks ago? There was not a specific proposal, although there were groups of members saying this is another way to go, and it was happening so rapid fire. The other thing I would add, and I'm sure you can fire away at me, is we had 12 hours to look at the bill, and of course we knew some of the outlines, but again it's perhaps a little bit of a bridge too far, but it still had the feeling to me of the lead into the war vote and the lead into the Patriot Act and some of the other very important legislative initiatives that have been in front of us in the last 8 years. So I went back.
Rush to judgment.
I went back to the Wooden. Be quick, but don't hurry. Once I cast that no vote, my belief was I didn't know what was going to happen, but I thought that was the smart vote, the principled vote. I've heard otherwise from various people. I believe we would go back to work if it failed, and craft a better package. Went over to the Senate, came back with $150 billion in it, in some cases important policy directives, but the bill for all intents and purposes wasn't changed. I voted no again on Friday. And you can imagine what I've been hearing. I've heard, oh, you are so principled, what a courageous vote, I'm with you. And I've heard, are you kidding me, Congressman? Do you realize how serious this is? That vote was a pander. We needed action immediately. We needed you to stand with us, and you didn't. And the point I want to make in the summary is, I know this is serious. I know we have to respond. I don't think we've seen the end of this. I hope we're not back in Washington in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I think who's ever president on November 5th has to say, I'm putting together an economic recovery team. I'm going to work with President Bush. I'm going to work with Secretary Paulson. This has to be if not the sole focus, the primary focus, not only of this president, but of the next president.